Hi, I'm Hal Roberts. This is Bridge City News. Here's some of the top stories we've been following. A comment from a Liberal minister involving the Taliban and Afghanistan has created a lot of controversy. We have the details. Afghans who are now living in North America are expressing their frustrations on governments not being able to get friends and families out of the now Taliban-led country. And another candidate has come forward seeking the Lethbridge mayoral chair. This time, it's a management student from the University of Lethbridge.
Your nation, your province, your southern Alberta. From the heart of Lethbridge, it's Bridge City News with Hal Roberts.
Thanks so much for joining us. A Liberal MP has received a lot of backlash after referring to the Taliban, a listed terrorist entity, as our brothers. Maryam Monsef, who is the Gender Equality Minister and Liberal candidate for Peterborough, Ontario, made the comment Wednesday during a media conference on Canada's evacuation efforts in Afghanistan. Here's the clip.
I want to take this opportunity to speak to our brothers, the Taliban. We call on you to ensure the safe and secure passage of any individual in Afghanistan out of the country.
Now, Monsef later clarified her comment, saying calling the Taliban brothers was a cultural reference. She says Muslims refer to each other as brothers and sisters, but she said, quote, "Rest assured, I continue to believe deeply that the Taliban are a terrorist organization." But how much will the Taliban brothers comment hurt the Liberals heading into the federal election? Dan McTeague was a Liberal MP for 18 years under Jean Chrétien and Paul Martin. And Dan, you believe the comment from Minister Monsef will put a serious dent into Trudeau's re-election plans?
Yeah, anybody who has any sensitivity to what's going on in Afghanistan and that the Prime Minister dropped the ball on getting those Canadians out and will witness over the next several days, including today, what a terrorist state looks like. Remind a generation that seems to have forgotten the sacrifices that Canadians and others have made. Anyone who recalls the 158 soldiers who died trying to liberate that and free the world from terrorism, or the thousands of Canadians, including even my family members, who happen to hail from the Peterborough area, will not be happy with this. More importantly, will find her comments absolutely offensive, tone deaf, and a real example of where the Prime Minister's chosen people are completely out of touch.
Now, when it comes to being out of touch, Dan, many Albertans feel that Ottawa needs to get its act together regarding our energy sector. As it stands right now, the Trudeau Liberals charge a carbon tax on Alberta oil, but not on imported oil from countries like Saudi Arabia?
They can't get their act together. It's clear that they have designed to undermine not only the Canadian manufacturing sector, the farming sector, but to use carbon taxes, punitive carbon taxes, regulations, on an industry that has already proven to be among the cleanest in terms of producing nations around the world. It does show, again, that the federal Trudeau Liberals are, in fact, I hate using the word liberal. These are cultists who have no understanding of the economy, how important it's going to be for the oil sector and the natural gas sector to get back on its feet, to drive growth in the economy, to pay down debt, and to prevent what I think will be an even greater economic collapse post-pandemic. And I'm not saying these things lightly. I've seen this play before. You dump on your major revenue growth generators in this country, as the Trudeau Liberals have, or cultists have, you're going to wind up in a very, very difficult position. Is any wonder now their next target is the banks? How soon before your house and the sale on your house will be the next target for taxation? Because these folks have the Midas touch in reverse. Everything they touch economically turns into garbage.
Thanks so much, Dan. That was former Ontario Liberal MP and now the president of Canadians for Affordable Energy, Dan McTeague. By the way, the federal election is coming up on September the 20th. 12 U.S. service members were killed and 15 others were wounded on Thursday when two explosions rocked an area just outside of the Kabul airport. Sources also say 13 people, including children, were killed at what is being described as a suicide attack. The explosions came hours after the United States and its allies had warned of a potential terror attack at the airport as thousands gathered in an effort to flee the Taliban's takeover of the country.
Now, this explosion seems to have happened by the Abbey Gate. Now, that's a gate that's a little northeast of the main gate for the civilian terminal. And you have to keep in mind that the Taliban has sort of been surrounding this airfield and kind of keeping people away as best they can. We saw today people being sprayed with fire hoses by the Taliban. There were also tear gas used to try to drive some of the crowds away. And that came as European nations, as well as the United States, had warned of the danger of a possible terror attack targeting those who had gathered outside of the airport.
U.S. President Joe Biden responded to the attacks in Kabul, saying, "We will not forgive and we will not forget."
To those who carried out this attack, as well as anyone who wishes America harm, know this: we will not forgive. We will not forget. We will hunt you down and make you pay. I will defend our interests and our people with every measure at my command.
U.S. General Kenneth McKenzie said the attacks were believed to have been carried out by terrorists associated with the Islamic State's group in Afghanistan. He believes more attacks are coming.
We believe it is their desire to continue those attacks, and we expect those attacks to continue. And we're doing everything we can to be prepared for those attacks. That includes reaching out to the Taliban, who are actually providing the outer security cordon around the airfield, to make sure they know what we expect them to do to protect us. And we will continue to coordinate with them as they go forward.
Afghan Americans are angry and anxious about U.S. President Joe Biden's decision to stick to an August 31st deadline to withdraw U.S. troops from Afghanistan. They're worried about relatives and other Afghans who will be trapped under Taliban rule.
There are going to be tens and thousands of Afghans who are not going to be able to leave safely. I have friends who are still in Afghanistan. I have an aunt and a cousin who are in Afghanistan and their families. And what we're hearing is that the situation is getting worse daily.
People left behind, yeah, and we are very sad. As an Afghan, as an American, as a human being, I'm very sad for this kind of situation. And the world has not seen this kind of situation before, you know. This was worse than Vietnam.
Federal party leaders hit the campaign trail once again here in Canada. Conservative leader Aaron O'Toole says if he becomes Prime Minister, he will launch the Employee Savings Account to provide security for our country's 1.7 million contract or freelance workers in the gig economy.
We're talking about everyone from truckers to graphic designers, from warehouse workers to delivery drivers, anyone working on a contract or an on-call basis. For some, it's their main source of income. And for many others, it helps them make ends meet or save for the future. But when the pandemic hit, the safety net that every other Canadian worker could count on in tough times, it wasn't there for these workers or their families. They don't qualify for employment insurance under the current rules. They don't have the insurable hours and contributions of a typical employee. Put simply, the federal government failed them.
Another candidate has declared his intention to challenge for the mayor's seat in Lethbridge. Keen Lettinen is a business student at the University of Lethbridge and is currently working for a nonprofit doing government relations. For the past 4 years, he's also worked with the Canadian Forces in Cold Lake doing civilian contracting work. He says the biggest issue Lethbridge is facing is the downtown homeless population.
It doesn't just affect how beautiful Lethbridge is, it also affects the profitability of businesses in that area. So what I would propose in order to address that is I think that we need to enhance the transit system. Right now the Government of Canada is offering massive grants for electric buses if we need to increase the size of the fleet. But really I think that right now what we need is the buses to go to Galt Gardens and those types of areas later into the night so that people who are there at around 10 p.m. and don't own a car and don't own a residence don't get stuck there because they just have no way of getting somewhere else. And I would like to expand the transit system to Colehurst, Coaldale, and the Blackfoot Territory.
There are now 7 candidates running for mayor in our city. The election will take place on October the 18th. Sheldon Day Chief is another candidate pursuing the mayoral seat in Lethbridge. Day Chief, who is a former Blood Tribe councillor, says one of the biggest issues he sees in our city is still dealing with the opioid crisis. He says he has a plan to address it.
The plan that I'm using right now or proposing to the city of Lethbridge is that the city of Lethbridge has the support programs already. They have the budgets already to operate and to provide those services. Now, what we need to do is to streamline those services and get those services support programs together so that we can all work together for the safety and well-being, not only of the person that's addicted to the opioids or whatever, but the city of Lethbridge as well.
Catch some of Sheldon Day Chief's other platform points as we head into this October's municipal election in an extensive interview with BCN's Jeanette Roche coming up in the second half of our program. The Alpha House has withdrawn their rezoning application. There was hope to rezone its existing shelter location from the Railway Relocation Lands Area Redevelopment Plan and move it into the new category of direct control. This would allow for new uses at the site. Officials at the Alpha House were hoping to create a new drop-in center, food bank location, a 27-bed shelter, and additional substance use and recovery services. In a letter submitted to Council, the group says they hope to pursue another rezoning application in the future when funding becomes available. Well, let's have a look at our poll question this week and this month. Have you received the COVID-19 vaccine or are you planning on getting the jab? Make sure you log on to our website and let us know your thoughts. Visit bridgecitynews.ca and vote. We'll tabulate the results and have them for you at the end of the month. The Lethbridge Chamber of Commerce is introducing a new survey for business owners as to whether or not we should have a vaccine passport when accessing certain non-essential businesses, services, and events. This comes following the introduction of passports in both BC and Quebec. The survey went live on Tuesday and has so far received 288 replies as of Wednesday afternoon, with 75% of people saying no. Chamber CEO Cindy Voss says reasoning for the passport has been mixed among local business owners.
Having to enforce that. Business owners are not enforcers, and business owners do not want to look at somebody's phone and say what their records are. That's a lot of responsibility to put on a business. But at the same time, I understand that there's the safety requirements, and as employers, we have to think about the health and safety of our staff and our patrons. And that's why there needs to be balance and there needs to be logic to how this information is being presented.
The survey is expected to be open until early next week, with the results anticipated to be released next Wednesday. Walkers are set to raise money and awareness for women who are battling ovarian cancer. The Ovarian Cancer Walk of Hope will take place September 12th in communities all across Canada. As Micah Quinn explains now, walkers have been raising funds to help battle this deadly disease since 2002.
This is the second year in a row the Ovarian Cancer Walk of Hope is going virtual.
What we are saying is just for participants to pick a route of their own choosing, their own distance they can walk with and whoever they'd like, following their community health guidelines. What connects us this year in the virtual walk is just the hope that we are walking with and that we're walking in solidarity with women affected by this disease all across the country, and of course their friends and family as well. We will also be coming together for a bit of a virtual gathering to celebrate the closing ceremonies of the day.
The walk has raised over $30 million in the past 19 years. Last year, the walk raised over $1 million, and Ovarian Cancer Canada is hoping to raise the same amount for this year's walk.
The money raised from the walk is spread right across Canada, and we want to ensure that no matter where a woman lives, that they do have access to the best treatment available, and that's not impacted by where they're living. So there are a number of research programs that we fund, and as I mentioned, the advocacy and support piece is very important, and proceeds from the walk do go to support that as well.
Another virtual touch is the Why I Walk banner. It's a way for people to post messages and images of why they're participating in the walk.
Sometimes it is, people writing in memory or in honor of a loved one or a friend, and it's a very visual way that we can see that and get that through.
You can visit ovariancancerwalkofhope.ca for more information or to donate. For Bridge City News, I'm Micah Quinn.
A well-known Lethbridge landmark is making another kind of mark in our province. It's topping the list of the top 10 engineering marvels in Alberta. Our province's professional engineers and geoscientists put the list together as a top structure to visit this summer, and the iconic bridge here in the Windy City tops the list.
We think of bridges like the Golden Gate Bridge and or maybe the bridge in Sydney in Australia. I mean, these are engineering marvels that sort of define their city, and I think the high level bridge in Lethbridge does the same thing. It just a local maybe can take it for granted because you see it almost everywhere you go, whether you're going across Whoop Up Drive or in the River Valley. But we have frequently visitors come in and just ask about it because it really is just gobsmackingly big.
Other Alberta structures that made the list include the Glacier Skywalk in Jasper National Park, Iceland's Parkway, and the Bow Tower in downtown Calgary. To see the full list, make sure you visit our website, bridgecitynews.ca. A new billboard has been erected in the town of Fort Macleod, reminding people passing through to love your neighbor and each other without any exceptions. The billboard was created by the Fort McLeod and District Family and Community Support Services. They say it's a way to bring the community together despite people's differences. Coordinator with the FCSS, Angie O'Connor, says the goal of the project is to raise awareness about diversity and inclusion.
We wanted to spark some discussion and spark some respectful dialogue and curiosity of others, and encourage people to have a heightened sensitivity around racism, discrimination in Fort McLeod and other communities, and having it on one of the town's billboards. We were excited to have more people see it.
The town received a grant through the Human Rights Commission to help fund the new billboard. It's expected to be set up in town for as long as possible. The town of Taber has closed down its Aqua Fun Center. Town officials said it's because a member of the center tested positive for COVID-19. In a release statement, they said in accordance with Alberta Health Services and for the safety of our patrons, the town of Taber made the decision to close the Aqua Fun Center immediately. Staff have begun to do a deep clean of the center, which is expected to reopen to the public on Friday. Well, we had at least 20 degrees yet again today here in southwestern Alberta, and the warm temperatures will be sticking around for quite some time. Full weather details are coming up. Hopefully you had a chance to get outside and enjoy some of this beautiful weather we've been experiencing right here in southwestern Alberta. Jeanette Rocher is back with a full look at the weather forecast. Jeanette, there's a slight chance of showers on Friday, then it looks like a pretty nice weekend is shaping up.
Yeah, just in time for Corn Fest too. Tonight we're looking at increasing clouds into tomorrow, though there's that 30% chance of showers that you were talking about. We are seeing a risk of an afternoon thunderstorm as well, and wind gusts up to 20 to 40 kilometers per hour. 19 degrees is our high for Friday. Into Saturday, though, we're getting back more into seasonal temperatures. 23 the high with a mix of sun and cloud, up to 27 on Sunday. Should be a lovely day with lots of sunshine. Sunny skies on Monday with a high of 25 degrees. 20 on Tuesday and back down to 19 on Wednesday with a mix of sun and clouds. So we are seeing temperatures a little bit all over the place, at sometimes lower than this average high and at times higher. So we're kind of right around that zone there. 24 the average high for this time of year, 9 degrees the average low. 36 was our high temperature on this day back in 1996, and in 1980 we had our chilliest day on record, which was 3 degrees. Sun rose this morning at 6:38 a.m. and sunset this evening 8:28 p.m., giving us about 10 minutes shy of a full 14-hour day of sunlight. So I'm feeling it in the evenings, those days getting shorter and shorter. 20 degrees on the coast tomorrow. Victoria with a mix of sun and cloud. Vancouver as well. 22 degrees in Edmonton tomorrow, and 18. Those cities seeing also a chance of showers. Calgary seeing that risk of an afternoon thunderstorm, just like in Winnipeg, with those 20 to 40 kilometer per hour wind gusts. Same thing for Saskatoon, also looking at a risk of an afternoon thunderstorm. High 18 tomorrow there. 17 the high in Regina. Going to see some rain. Rainy skies also in Winnipeg with a high of 19. Their wind gusts could be 30 to 50 kilometers per hour. So over in the central part of the country, we are seeing heat warnings in effect for Toronto, Ottawa, Montreal. High of 27 Toronto, 25 in Ottawa. Beautiful sunny day in Montreal as well tomorrow with a high of 24 degrees. Heat warnings also in effect for Fredericton. Should be a lovely sunny day though too. 22 the high, 29 in Halifax. Chance of rain there. Showers expected also in Charlottetown tomorrow with a high of 23 degrees and a high of only 18 in St. John's. They're expecting about 2 millimeters of rain tomorrow, and wind gusts 20 to 40, but up to 60 kilometers per hour along some parts of the coast there. So there you go. That is your forecast.
Today's weather is brought to you, rain or shine, by the Gym in the North. Top-notch equipment and customized classes in Lethbridge's North End.
Imperial Oil has announced plans to build a facility near Edmonton that will use blue hydrogen and locally grown crops to produce diesel fuel. The company says the renewable diesel complex at its Strathcona refinery will be the largest of its kind in Canada. It says the facility will produce up to 1 billion liters a year of renewable diesel. But moving ahead with the project will depend on market conditions and government support. It says it's in partnership discussions with the Alberta and BC governments, and production could start in 2024. Retailers are banking on a robust back-to-school shopping season as students prepare to return to class. For many, it'll be the first time in more than a year. The spending period was sluggish last year as many schools shifted to online learning. It is expected to be much stronger this fall as many schools reopen next month. The Retail Council of Canada says back to school is a critical period for many retailers, second only to Christmas. Many parents and students began stocking up early, and sales of school-related supplies are projected to remain strong into September. NDP leader Jagmeet Singh is promising his party will lower cell phone bills if it takes power in next month's election. Singh told supporters in Windsor, Ontario, that Canada has some of the highest cell phone rates in the world. His party wants to put a cap on what the average cell phone and internet services would be.
We've looked at the OECD countries around the world and looked at what their average rates are. Ours are far above them. So we want to put a cap in place of what the average cell phone price would be, or the average cell phone and internet services would be for the other OECD countries. Canada's right now is far above other similar countries. The other thing we want to do is we want to make sure that the plans for internet are truly unlimited and not this fake unlimited where once you reach a certain point, your internet slows down. So we want to mandate truly unlimited data plans, as well as have a cap that is capped at the average price of other OECD countries.
And now, here's a look at today's markets.
The TSX was down 83 points to 20,504. The Dow was down 192 points to 35,213. The S&P 500 was down 26 points to 4,470. And the Nasdaq was down 96 points to 14,946. West Texas Intermediate Oil was down 56 cents to 67.80 US per barrel. Natural gas was up 31 cents to 4.21 US. Gold was down 3 cents to 17.92 US an ounce, and silver was even at 23.56 US an ounce. Wheat is at $415 per metric ton. Barley is at $412. Canola $915, and corn is at $435 per metric ton. Live cattle were down $1.15 to $123.28. Feeder cattle were up 15 cents to $159.45. Lean hogs were down 85 cents to $87.90. And the Canadian dollar was down slightly over the past 24 hours to finish at 78.83 US.
Recapping one of our top stories this hour, 12 U.S. service members were killed and 15 others were wounded on Thursday when 2 explosions rocked an area just outside of the Kabul airport. Sources also say 13 people, including children, were killed in what is being described as a suicide attack. The explosions came hours after the United States and its allies had warned of a potential terror attack at the airport as thousands gathered in an effort to flee the Taliban's takeover of the country. Another Lethbridge mayoral candidate has come forward hoping to win our city's top job in October. Coming up, BCN's Jeanette Rocher chats with Sheldon Day Chief. Stay tuned.
Well, the municipal elections will be taking place across Alberta on October 18th, and today we have the opportunity to speak with one of our Lethbridge mayoral candidates, Sheldon Day Chief, who is a former Blood Tribe councillor. Welcome to Bridge City News, Sheldon. So great to have you on today.
Thank you for having me on.
Now, first of all, can you maybe tell us a bit about yourself, your background, and why you have decided to run for the mayor's office?
Sure. I have, to begin with, I've been living here in Lethbridge for over 33 years. And I have a real, to myself, I have a real connection, a personal connection to the city and our community. First of all, my great-grandmother, Whitetail Deer woman, was married to Nicholas Sharon, who owned the Sharon Mines back then. And they basically had a hand in starting our community here in Lethbridge. Back then it was called Coal Banks. And she left after Nicholas Sharon drowned in the Oman River back in 1892. So, but that was basically her legacy. And so that's a real personal connection to me. Also, just making my home here in Lethbridge for the past over 33 years, I've had a lot of personal friends and family that have moved into the city. So it's I've raised my children around the area as well. So it's gotten me to the point where I was very concerned where we were going in the direction that we are currently on with the city right now. Not to mention the crime wave that is rising continuously, But our standard of living here in the city of Lethbridge has really declined. Um, in my personal opinion, it's because we've never had a real interaction with our current and probably the past city council or city mayor for the past 2 terms. And it gets to the point where you wonder where you're going when you're not being notified or being told which direction or what direction or what decisions that they're making in regards to the city and its safe and its safety and everything. So that's what really kind of drove me into running for mayor. I've worked with various different organizations in community planning and stuff like that, especially when I was in council back in 2008. I took the initiative to really promote the safety and healthy and well-being of our community. So that's my personal reason why I'm running for mayor.
That's interesting, your background and also your connection with Nicholas Sharon, which of course is a well-known name here in the community as well. It's quite interesting. Now, Sheldon, you believe that our current city council is too divisive. Is that what you were saying? So how would you go about changing that? How would you bring people together when there are clearly differing opinions?
Well, first of all, I believe in holding people accountable and responsible for what they're doing, because being an elected official, you have certain conduct, code of ethics that you need to follow. And you have a huge responsibility, not to yourself, not to your personal opinions or your choices. You're at that time when you're making decisions for the city or for a large body of people, you have to put those personal opinions aside and whatnot so that you can make decisions as a whole for the best interests of your constituents. And so as a mayor, I would definitely be holding people to accountable with their code of ethics and their code of conducts, and make them more accountable and transparent to the citizens of Lethbridge. And if they're still in a divisive mood or divisive action, I would definitely call them out and have them answer to the people to why they are holding themselves divisive from the rest of the group. Because in regards to my plan that I'm proposing to the city, I'm trying to bring the community together. And when I say the community, I mean everybody that is, that stays within the city of Lethbridge, because I feel that only together that we can move and create a safer and healthier community.
So do you feel that city council doesn't listen very well then to its constituents? What kinds of changes would you put in place to give Lethbridge residents a more effective voice, if that's the case?
Well, I don't think. That's part of the reasons why I think it's the citizens of Lethbridge are kind of in the awe of what's going on all around us. First of all, city council right now are not basically conversing or connecting with their constituents at all. There's no accountability. There's no information coming out from the leadership level to the community so that the community knows what's going on. And I'll use the safe consumption site. When that was being brought into the city of Lethbridge, there should have been more consultation within the community, and especially with the businesses surrounding that center, how it was going to affect them. So there was poor planning, poor consultation, and it was done really without input from the community. So when you have situations like that are like a project like that that's going to affect the community as much as it did, and it created a real wedge between groups and stuff like that. There's got to be a lot of consultation going on and a lot more planning. You cannot just plop something in there without support planning it, how they're going to help the addicted to, to come off of those opioids. Safe consumption site, to me, can save lives, and it did. But how do you transition out of that addiction? There was no support programs.
Yeah, no, I was just gonna ask, do you believe that we need to set up another SCS in the city, or are there better solutions?
Well, I believe that's only one small portion of what people need that are addicted on opioids. That's only one small portion of it. If you're going to implement a program or a service such as that, there's definitely have to have planning that's going to have support programs for these individuals that are utilizing that site, so that they can have the counseling, so that they can have the treatment, so that they can have an avenue, so that they can get themselves off of those opioids. And where I'm coming in from is the plan that I'm using right now, or proposing to the city of Lethbridge, is that the city of Lethbridge has the support programs already. They have the budgets already to operate and to provide those services. Now, what we need to do is to streamline those services and get those services, support programs together, so that we can all work together for the safety and well-being, not only of the person that's addicted to the opioids or whatever, but the city of Lethbridge as well. So if you're going to do that, you got to do it right. You can't just have a safe consumption site and think that's going to fix it all, because it won't. We've already saw what happened to it. So.
Now, Sheldon, as an Indigenous person, what would you like to see happen in our city when it comes to reconciliation?
Well, I've been very active in our community in regards to that, and I started with my introduction into this interview. I love teaching, and I love children. I like working with children, and the more I teach about our culture, the understanding and the respect, and really just the amazement of that I see of children. There's more of that comradeship or partnership that is growing every year that I do it. And so within the city of Lethbridge, I would like to see where the respect and the understanding of not only the Aboriginal people, but we have a vast, a variety of different cultures within our city now. And as you see with the Afghanistan situation right now, there's going to be more people coming in. So we need to interact with all the citizens within Lethbridge. And that's my goal. And that's part of the plans. What I'm trying to do is bring all of these cultural leaders and just the public together, so that we can start understanding who we are. Even just promoting an international cultural fair type of thing, where they could showcase their cultural dances or whatever their celebrations are, and just really introduce us to who they are. I mean, I believe in today's society, we're so we're so intercultural connected already, but the understanding and the misconceptions of why people are coming to our country, and there's that I guess that racial thinking that happens from all of those misunderstandings. For the city of Lethbridge, I want to break that down. I want to bring people together, and I want people to understand each other and get to know who their neighbors are. So.
Yeah, interesting. That's a good idea. Now, Sheldon, let me jump into something else really quick here, kind of on the same topic a little bit with misunderstandings. But you got into a number of confrontations on your LinkedIn account calling people racist. Can you maybe explain what transpired there really quickly?
Well, I'm a boarding school survivor. And I saw a lot of things. I witnessed a lot of things, and I went through some personal things as well. And when my emotions were tapped into that, my emotions took over. And calling people out maybe I did it in the wrong way, but I wanted to call people out so that they can look at themselves and look at their comments and why they were asking those kind of questions and why they were responding to Mr. Yasmin Singh the way they were, and I guess it just kind of drove me over, over to that side of me, and I'm only human, and I'm full of emotions. I'm passionate what I do and what I talk about, and try to get the education. And sometimes people are so set in their ways, it's like having blinders on them that they don't want to see what else is around them. And for over how many years that we've been living side by side, and we as First Nations people, we've learned everything that we need to know about your culture, about your people, about your society. But how many of you can say that you know about us or speak our language as well as we speak yours? So it got emotional for me and stuff like that. And I, after thinking about it and and some of the things what I said, I mean, I apologize for it, but like I said, I'm only human. And when the residential school issue all came out with the 250 from Kamloops, it's something that I've been walking around with. I knew the truth that was going to happen.
It struck a nerve for sure.
That it struck a nerve, real, it did. And so, I responded, and maybe not in the best way, but I'm only human.
Thanks for sharing that. Absolutely. Thank you for kind of diving into that a little bit. So it looks like we are about out of time. We're so thankful that you were able to speak with us today. But really quick and wrapping up, what would you say to viewers? Why should they vote for you on October 18th?
Well, to the people of City of Lethbridge, we all want change. I guess to begin with, ask yourself what that change you want to be. What's the change you want to be? And are you happy with the current direction that the City of Lethbridge is on right now? And that has been for the last probably 8, maybe 12 years. And, and just, look at the other candidates, not only the mayoral, but the council candidates as well. I would suggest, in my opinion, to vote for those people that are talking the same language. Because once they are talking the same language, people are handing out campaign pamphlets. They are talking to individuals out there. So you, as citizens of Lethbridge, can hold your elected officials to what they are saying today. If they are speaking one way and they change when they come into a city council, as we've seen certain individuals that are currently in council right now, I guess it really does fall back onto us on what we do to try and hold those people accountable. So in my humble opinion, I do ask the City of Lethbridge, think about what that change you want to make it happen. Because at the end of the day, it's going to be your elected officials that are going to be making those decisions for our community. And what I am presenting is a substantial and concrete plan that can happen. And if I can put myself out there, I will say, and I'll follow the presidential promises that Biden made, but there is a reality that I can bring forth a team within the first 100 days that will spearhead this movement that I'm talking about, the strategic plan. Because it's not only dealing with our safety, well-being, it's also going to deal with our economic rebuilding as well for the city. So there's a lot in that plan, but it starts with us.
Thanks so much for being with us here today, Sheldon. Appreciate having you on.
Thanks.